her 9-month shoot, we decided to take a little trip to the park. I know I say this every time, but I am so excited to share this shoot with you. Piper is getting so big. She has one little tooth and she's starting to walk around, which is absolutely crazy, but it's so much fun. For this shoot, we're going to discover and play with one of my all-time favorite light sources, which is Backlight. I know at a park there's a lot of movement, and point and shoot cameras are known for just kind of having that long lag time where you can't quite get that image, right as it happens. I'm going to try to give you some tips today to try to freeze that action. As I've talked about in almost all the other videos, I want you to find a mode in your point and shoot camera that gives you the most amount of light possible. For my camera, I have a mode called Sports Mode. What that means is it's going to give me a higher ISO, which is basically a digital film speed. So that's going to let more light into the camera. It's going to give me faster shutter speeds, which will let me capture action. And it's just going to let in more light in general to the camera. So because I was shooting in sports mode, for most of these shots throughout this shoot, my shutter speed, which is the amount of time that the shutter is open to take the picture, my shutter speeds were coming in around 1/400th of a second. And that is really fast. That's definitely enough speed to capture motion. And that's what we want. So try to find that mode that works best for your camera. Piper loves to swing. And I think most babies do. And I knew this would be the perfect thing to do to get those natural smiles and giggles. And I knew she would have so much fun. And it's actually something that we do a lot, so that's another reason why I wanted to document it. So my trick for shooting motion, like swinging with a point and shoot camera, is I want to move the camera in the exact motion that I'm trying to photograph. So I want to mimic that motion. So as Piper is swinging back and forth, I take my point and shoot and I follow her. And right as she has that split-second stop at the top of her swing, I take the picture. And it's just a split second. So you kind of follow it along and really kind of have to time it.
Okay. I can grab her again.
Ready? Go.
Come halfway to you. Yay!
I absolutely adore these grandparent shots that we got. I'm always trying to incorporate things that we really do in our everyday life, and I want to incorporate people that we love, because it really just takes the image kind of to another emotional level. And I really want Piper to be able to look back someday and remember this time that she had with her grandparents, because she's probably not actually going to remember it, but I want her to be able to see it. Another reason I absolutely love these series of shots is I found the perfect backlight. Backlight is one of those things I'm always looking for. I really feel like it takes images kind of to another level. I love the way the backlight highlights, kind of gives them a halo. It's a very angelic, soft, just very emotional feel to the image. When I'm trying to find the perfect backlight, I don't want light that's coming directly into my camera lens. So I definitely want the light coming in a little bit higher than my lens, because if it shoots right into the lens, you have a whole world of problems to worry about. Shooting backlight with a point and shoot camera is definitely a little bit tricky. There's only so much you can do. There's quite a bit of limitation with this little camera. Basically, what the camera does is it takes into account the highlight on their head, it takes into account the light on their face, and it averages all the light in the picture together. And so often what happens is the face turns out really dark. I don't know if you've tried it before, but you've probably had that same effect. So what you have to do is you have to override the camera a little bit. You have to go into your exposure compensation and you need to add light to the camera. You need to add exposure. So go into your exposure compensation and add 1 stop of light. So you're gonna click all the way up to 1. What that does is it's going to make the camera expose more for the face. So it's going to overexpose the background and it's going to bring more light to the face. So the light on their face actually didn't change at all from the previous spot where I was on the swings. So I left my exposure the same. So the highlight that was hitting their head blew out, and that's what created the really high key effect. Bring some things that they love to play with to the park. Piper loves this walker, so I thought this would be a great thing to bring to just let her play with. I knew there would be big smiles, and I also knew that there would be a lot of motion.
Doggy, doggy, come on,
Piper.
sweetheart. Come here. Go get Daddy.
Good girl.
For these shots, I was shooting in nice, beautiful open shade. It was light and bright, and I had plenty of room to capture the motion of her moving.
Good girl.
I love being able to freeze in time those tiny little steps. There's nothing like a park bench to get a perfect portrait of daddy and daughter, and that's actually one of the reasons that I picked this park, is I knew there would be tons of things to utilize in the photos. There were benches and logs and swings and pathways, and I just wanted to make it easy on myself. So do yourself a favor, when you're picking a spot to do a shoot, make sure there's a variety of things that you can utilize. This helps create so many more images, it gives you variety, and you don't have to work that hard to get it.
Doggy.
Piper.
Where's Mama?
As you can see, our pet octopus from the 6-month shoot has now been traded in for a dog with one eye. But hey, whatever makes her smile.
That's a good one. Come on, Daddy, smile. She's pulling out your hair.
my hand.
It's a gray hair. It's a gray hair.
I'm still shooting in that nice open shade. I barely had to change my exposure from the previous series of shots.
Yeah, oh, good one.
Clap, clap, clap. Where's Mama? Clap, 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 clap.
Good girl.
Done. Yeah, she looks like she's scratching her eyes.
So it's probably almost guaranteed that at some point, your cute, tiny little subject will start getting tired, hungry, cranky, whatever it may be. So when my subject starts doing this, what I like to do is I want to give them something to have in their hands. I saw this huge tree and tons of leaves on the ground, and I know Piper is absolutely just enamored with leaves. She just loves them to death. So I knew if I set her down in those leaves and just let her play with them, just kind of let her go. So when you do this, you're not going to get as many shots of them looking right into the camera, but that's okay. You don't want every shot to be them looking into the camera.
You almost fell over. Hold the leaf. That's a good one. There you go.
Where are you sitting? Doing the leaves.
Giving them something to play with in their hands really gives you some extra time. It keeps them still, it keeps them engaged, and you're able to keep taking photos. She was totally into what she was doing, looking at the leaves, and it was exactly the images that I wanted to create. I wanted her to be into the leaves, but not looking at me. I was still shooting in that beautiful open shade, and this park was absolutely full of it. If you're wanting to learn more about how to find that perfect open shade, be sure to watch Piper's 6-month video. All babies love to move, and Piper's no exception. So for this next shot, I thought it would be fun to have Mark hold Piper over his shoulder, and he was going to take a little jog with her. But she was going to be looking back towards me. But what I decided, to make it easier on myself, instead of trying to capture her moving away from me,
I actually ran along behind them. So we still got the laughing and the effect of the motion of them running. But I was actually running too, so it was a lot easier to focus on her. I found that it was actually easier to focus on her while I was running than to try to focus on a moving subject. And I know that sounds like it might be a little bit difficult, but it actually really made her laugh too, because I was kind of chasing them. And so it just created some really fun images. So these next field shots, I was able to find some more backlight, and it's definitely a different quality of backlight than I had found previously. So this backlight, the sun was a little bit lower, so it was coming into my lens a little bit more. So you can kind of see it floods the photo just a little bit.
You look really cute right now. That's fine.
You know what, you're probably gonna take some images that aren't that great. I do it all the time. How will you ever know the gems if you don't take some bad ones in the mix? It really just helps you learn, and it helps you to really know what a good photograph is. And we ended with just a really sweet shot of Piper walking between her grandparents, holding their hands, and she can't quite walk on her own yet. She loves to hold somebody's hands and walk, and I really thought it would be the perfect way to end the shoot.
Stand up there. Keep walking.
It was good. Yeah, nice job there, Piper. Keep walking. You did good.
Well, that about wraps up this shoot. This has been such an adventure for me. I can barely put into words what it feels like to be able to capture your child at all of these different stages of their life. I am so grateful and blessed that I can do it. And I really hope that I've helped you do it too. So I just want to summarize what we learned today. We discovered some backlight in this series, which is so fabulous. Remember, when you're trying to find the perfect backlight, you don't want the light coming directly into your lens. It will cause a world of problems. So try to find backlight that's just a little bit higher than the camera lens. Try to find a naturally diffused backlight if you can. Light is so beautiful, sifting through trees or clouds, or something that will soften the nature of the light. If you can't, if you're shooting with a direct sunlight behind somebody, try to make sure that it's a softer direct sunlight, like sunset. Remember, when you're shooting backlight, even though there's a strong highlight on the head or behind them, always expose for the face.